The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Good morning, Hoop Ballers, and welcome to another edition of Hoop Balls DFS Today. This is your Tuesday, May 25th edition. I am your host, Santino, and we are here with my main man, William Isbill. How you doing today, Willie Billy?
Yeah, that's right. I'm back. You missed us last week. I left Santino stranded by himself, but I'm back. I had 3 wisdom teeth removed, but I'm here for you guys today. Happy to
Salt.
be back.
We're happy to have you back, kind of. We have game two for three teams on this slate. First game starts at 7:30 p.m. Then we have a 10er and then a 10:30 p.m. So two late games, one early game. It's gonna be good. How are you enjoying the playoffs so far?
Oh, it's been great, and it's great to see John Morant, Trey Young, new guys come in and making their impact.
Booker.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yep, Booker too.
Yeah, it's been fun so far, except for we're recording this while the end of the blowout game of the Bucks Heat are going on, so good timing.
Yeah, Trevor Ariza just tried to take out Giannis pretty much, but it's all good.
It's all good. But yeah, let's get right into this slate, man. And actually, right before we do it, I do want to give a quick shout out over to our guys at MyBookie, simply the best sports book around. If you want to join and get halfway your first deposit matched halfway up to $1,000, simply enter the promo code HoopBall upon signing up. That's HOOPBALL. It has everything you need. Every sports bet you can make. Fully fledged casino platform with live dealers, so you don't even need to leave your house and go to a congested casino if you don't want to. Everything at your fingertips at MyBookie. Very fast payment. Everything's just super easy. I love that thing. And now, man, let's get into this. We have three games as mentioned. The first game on the docket is the Boston Celtics at the Brooklyn Nets. This game starts at 2. I almost said Tuesday, 7:30. This game starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Nets are 8.5-point home favorites, which is the largest of the slate. And the spread, or the total, is also the largest of the slate by a big margin at 228. Nothing else even tops 217. So we'll start with you, man. We'll start with the Celtics side of the ball. Oh, let me throw the injury report in there as well. The Celtics, just for the Celtics, Jaylen Brown is out, and the Nets, we just have Spencer Dinwiddie out. Two guys we know of. But we'll start with the Celtics, and how are you looking at them in this matchup?
Well, obviously with the Celtics, as long as Jaylen Brown is out, which he will be the rest of the season, the main guy is Jason Tatum, and he's priced as such at 9,800. He did not hit value for you in the first game. He had 22 points, 3 boards, 5 assists. You want a little more from him in this game, in which they're going to need it desperately, because if they go down 2-0, it's pretty much no coming back from that, especially against this team. So I expect Jason Tatum to have a bounce back game. Even though he had 22 points, it's good, but you need him to get in the 30s with Jaylen Brown not there. And, the Nets are still not the greatest defensive team, so he should have every opportunity to do so. And it should all fall on his shoulders, honestly. So at 9,800, I think it's a good value to go ahead and put him in your lineup. There's no one else on this team you can really trust, but you can throw Kemba Walker in there at 7,200 because he has that potential to get you 40 DraftKings points. His first game was a dud, and he's going to have to bounce back as well. But he's not as a sure thing as Jason Tatum is. How do you feel about anyone else on the team? I'm not looking at the other two shooting guards. How do you feel about those two?
Yeah, and I don't mind Tatum or Walker. I do like the alternatives up top for Tatum, but like you said, they're not going to win this series. There's no way, especially without Jaylen Brown. But the only way to make it even competitive is if Tatum goes off. So he's going to have one of those big games. I don't mind him. I do like the alternatives, but I don't mind Marcus Smart. This is a matchup he's getting up for. He's going to be expending a lot of energy on defense. going, whether it's Harden or Kyrie or whatever. But I think that's a fair price tag, knowing that some of these guys' price tags is lower than normal, and you want to fit some people in there. But I also really like Robert Williams. He played 23 minutes in that last one. The center spot is the weakest spot of the Nets, and I wasn't sure he would be playing 20-something minutes, and he did. And now he's not even on the injury report at all, so they need this guy to play. I don't expect another 9 blocks. That's just insane. But maybe he can get up to maybe he can get the lion's share of the minutes because he is better than Tristan Thompson, and I'd rather take that per minute upside anyway, even if he does happen to get 23 or split down the middle. At 4,600, I can take that plunge right there. One of the better low costly guys there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had him listed down also. The only other guy I'm looking at on the Celtics, because I'm not looking at Fournier or Smart, but you obviously can throw them in your lineup because they're not terrible of a price, but I just don't trust them. But would you consider looking at Jabari Parker? I mean, he played 22 minutes in the first game, and that was unexpected for me. I would have expected less from him. He had almost 18 DraftKings points, 9 points, 4 boards. So that's something to consider. And this was a 10-point game. So if this is a, similar game like that within 10 points or a blowout, he could get the same or more run. Would you consider him at a minimum price?
I guess if you're only at minimum, but I'm not going to put him in my lineup and try and work around him. It was a weird how the Celtics backups were playing pretty well, and they were keeping him a little in the game, so they played extended minutes there. But I don't think he doesn't usually see that many minutes. So for me, he's just a long shot guy that if you only have 3K left or you're in that 3K range with your last spot or two, then give him a shot. But I wouldn't put him in my lineup and try and work around him.
I agree. He's like a dart throw that could win you some money or just do nothing for you. So that's just something to consider.
Right, man. And let's flip it on over to the net side of the ball. You want to tackle this one first?
Sure. Obviously, with the Nets, you have the big three: Harden at 10,200, Kevin Durant 9,300, Kyrie at 8,800. It's really for me Harden or KD. Because Kyrie, he's more of a third option in my opinion. He only had 40 DraftKings points last game, but still his price is below 9,000, so that's a good value. But whenever you have Harden and KD, you're going to want to use one of them, and I doubt you're going to want to combine that with Kyrie. But obviously, you can't go wrong with any of the three. I think they're pretty obvious. The only other guy I would touch on for the Nets to me is Nicholas Claxton. And he's at 3,300. He's another one of those minimum dart throws like we mentioned with Jabari Parker. He only played 11 minutes, but he had just as much production as Blake Griffin, who started and played twice as much minutes. So I don't know how long they're going to stick with the Blake Griffin, scenario. DeAndre Jordan didn't play. So if they're going to throw a big man in there, I think they need to give young guys some more minutes. So that's kind of a shot in the dark for me at 3,300. How do you feel about the Nets?
Yeah, I'm with you on Claxton. I really like him. Another guy that is near 3K. I prefer him over Jabari Parker, and he is a guy that I would throw in my lineup early and then try and work around. But again, there's other options, but I wouldn't be opposed to having him in there. I like him. And the big three are the only other guys that I look at. But comparatively with other guys on the slate, I'm not huge on them, but I do think KD has his price tag isn't crazy high, and it's not, and his upside is still there. I do like the alternative, so I don't know how many of the big three I want, but if this game is going to be projected near 230 and have the highest total, I'll have some shares of KD. Kyrie I like as well, but I'm looking this late game with the guy Kawhi, and his price tag didn't move really. I just prefer him over there with that cheap price tag in the 8K range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a great price.
All right, man.
Yeah. I mean, is DeAndre Jordan even going to play this game? I mean, we have no idea.
Probably. They won without him, so they don't need to. And I don't think they don't really. He was getting out of the rotation anyway, and then Aldridge retired, so he came back in, and then Claxton went out for a while with some health and safety protocols. KD was out. So he was kind of going to be gone from the rotation anyway, and then all that stuff happened. And now, obviously, Aldridge is not back, but KD's healthy. Blake Griffin's ready to play every game now. Claxton's back, so I don't think and they have Jeff Green there to play center minutes too, so I don't think they really need him.
I agree. They're saving him for another 7-footer in the next round or so.
Yeah, if they need to switch things up, then you always have a guy like that to get thrown in there. Mm-hmm. All right, man. Let's jump on over to this next game. We have the Los Angeles Lakers at the Phoenix Suns. This game starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the lowest total of the night at 209.5, and the Lakers are 1-point road favorites. On the injury report, we have Anthony Davis and LeBron James as probable, and for the Suns, Abdel Nader as out. I'll throw it over to you, and then I'll rebuttal it. But how you feeling about this Lakers squad?
Wow, you're going to let me start first with the Lakers. All right.
Okay, you guys, if you want to mute it and then just wait for the...
No, I mean, obviously the Suns won the first game, so the Lakers are desperate to win this game. You know, I think LeBron James is going to be one of my favorite players of the night because I don't see him letting his team go down 2-0 just from the jump like that. Obviously, you know, he's had a rough go of it. We don't know if he's 100%, but, you know, I think he's going to give it all he's got in this game. And at 10,100, that's not too crazy of a price tag. He had almost 50 DraftKings points first game, and they need this game even more. So great play. Anthony Davis, 9,600. You know, he's in the same boat. He had a bad game the first game. I expect him to bounce back. So can't fault you at all for putting him in your lineup. They need him just as much. It's really who you would prefer. I think they both will have a much improved game from last time. The other guys, in my opinion, are options. You know, I think you can look at Andre Drummond at 5,900 because he had 26 DraftKings points in 19 minutes. Now, it just depends on how they're going to do with the lineup, you know. But when you look on the other side with Phoenix with Ayton, only 200 more, that's going to be hard to play Drummond. But he's someone you can consider. Dennis Schroeder, 5,600. Obviously, he's the main point guard, but his defense is lacking. So it's just a matter of how many minutes he would get. So that's questionable also. And then you can look at Montrezl Harrell as a minimum guy almost at 3,500, just whether he gets more minutes in the game also because, you know, he's one of their better big man, better rebounders. If they want to play a different type of matchup, he had almost 19 DraftKings points last game. But it just matters with the flow. So, I mean, you have 3 question marks, in my opinion, only 2 guarantees with LeBron and AD. You feel secure in any of those guys?
And before I go, I don't know if you heard my special guest, my little puppy. I don't know if you heard him bark. Wasn't sure if you could hear him.
Didn't even hear. I was in the zone, so I didn't hear.
He was something happened, and he sees something outside, and he's one of those.
He was agreeing with me. That's what.
Yeah, he was saying, "Will's got it. Will's got it," or he was just saying, "Ew, ew, ew." I think that's what he said. No, but LeBron James, Anthony Davis, both the options on this team, and I am very high on Anthony Davis in this one. Everything you said about LeBron is true. I don't think they're going to let this game slip away. They're both going to be coming out hot, but I have this inkling for an Anthony Davis game. The last game he played, as he sometimes does, as a big, tall glass of water. And in that, he shot 5 of 16 from the field. He really did not assert himself on the offensive end or on the glass, and he does that sometimes. DeAndre Ayton ate him alive, wordplay there. I don't expect that to happen again. Anthony Davis is far too talented. He's a top 5 player in this game, and if they're going to do anything in this playoffs, this guy's got to step up. LeBron played really well in his time there. He had some big rest periods, but they need Anthony Davis, and this is Anthony Davis's time. I am very high on him, and he might be my favorite play of the night, except for the Lake, because outside of Kawhi, because Kawhi is just super cheap comparatively to everybody. But I am very high on Anthony Davis. It's just that gut feeling that this guy is going to go off for over 30 points in this one. And the last time they played Phoenix in the regular season, there was no LeBron, but he played 41 minutes and he dropped 42 actual points, 77 fantasy points. I don't know if he'll drop 77, but I expect him to have a big game because without him, this team is just a team. Outside of those 2 guys, really not looking at too many people. I don't hate going Caldwell Pope because you know you're going to get 30 some odd minutes. So if that's what you're hoping for and around a 4K guy, just get a ton of minutes and then hope he does something with them. Caldwell Pope's that guy. He's going to get a bunch of minutes. But some guy I'm interested on is Marc Gasol. He's been in and out of the rotation, but what DeAndre Ayton did to both Davis when he was at center, Drummond, who was kind of and then Montrezl Harrell, Trez, who was too small for this. I'm thinking maybe it's a Marc Gasol joins the starting lineup, or Marc Gasol gets some odd minutes here. He can stretch the floor. He can let AD do his thing, and I'm looking at him when the lineups come out, or waiting tomorrow, especially with Dave McMahon. I always say his last name wrong. McMahon, that one of their beat reporters, very good guy to follow. But I'm gonna keen on what he has to say because I think Marc Gasol is a guy that I would look at for 3,100. But those two are just possibilities. I think AD and LeBron are the guys, and I'm going to go with the $500 savings with AD there.
Yeah, I would say probably don't use Gasol unless he's starting, right? Because if he doesn't start, you don't know if he's going to come off the bench at all.
The only thing about that is because if Drummond plays how he did the first game, which he had good numbers, but he also had a lot of mishaps on defense and offense. He kind of just sat there in the paint. So I don't. If they see that and the team isn't going or playing too well, I don't think they'll have trouble just going to Marc Gasol. Trez is another option, but he's been pretty much the same as Drummond lately, or worse, I should say. So it's not really. I don't think he's going to play too much.
Yeah, it's a lot of sketchiness in the land of the Lakers. So y'all will be all right though, Santino.
But let's jump on over to this Phoenix Suns side of the ball. And what are you thinking about them? We saw Booker have himself a playoff debut, and DeAndre Ayton played really well as well. Chris Paul came out, didn't look great because his shoulder just didn't look right. But what do you feel about that?
Right. Like you said, Booker and Ayton put on a show, one of the best games in their careers each. And they're priced very well at $8,100 for Booker, $6,100 for Ayton. I doubt they would have the same type of production and be that great, but they obviously can be close to that. The Lakers are known for having one of the best defenses in the league this year. So, I expect that production to go down a little bit. But if you want to stray away from Booker, that's totally understandable. But Ayton at $6,100, I think that's just too good of a value to stray away from. CP3, Chris Paul is at $7,600. Like you said, he had a rough game with injuries, being bumped and bruised all around. You had a stinger in his right shoulder. He fell. It was a rough go of it, but he led them to victory. You're going to have to see before the game if they're going to list any injuries for him or if he's going to be limited in any way. I doubt he will. Even if he is hurt, I doubt they'll admit anything. But that just gives you a little caution. Like if you're trying to choose between Kemba Walker and CP3, you might want to go with Kemba if you're worried about his injuries. But if he's healthy, 100%, you obviously can put him in your lineup. Only other two guys you can consider, in my opinion, are Mikal Bridges at $5,300. That's just a great price range value. That's in the same bracket as Marcus Smart. So if you're iffy on him, you can go with Bridges. And you also can look at Crowder at $4,300. Jay Crowder, just because of his playoff experience and, he's liable to hit threes whenever needed. With his last season with the Heat, he was just great, great with the veteran leadership and experience for them. So I could see him showing up against this Lakers team. But Bridges and Crowder are kind of shots in the dark. The three big guys are who you would like to consider, but I wouldn't pick more than one of them. It's just whoever you would like to fit in your lineup. How do you feel about Phoenix?
Yeah, and I think Ayton at 61 is a solid price tag. I don't think he's going. I think they're going to have more effort on the block and on the rebounds, or on the glass, I should say, or the Lakers are going to have more effort on the glass than they did last game, and Ayton won't get that 20 and 16 type of game again. But I don't think that's a bad price tag. And Booker had a great game, and that's a very solid price tag. It's not too high, but they're going to bring something at them. This is one of the best defenses in the league, and they are great at adjusting, and that's what they did all last year when they were healthy and earlier in the year. Coming off a loss, they're going to know where they have to go, and Booker is going to be the key guy that they're going to. And with that said, if Chris Paul is healthy, I like him, and that's the pivot there for me. People are going to look at the injury, and right now I am, because he was clearly not himself. Even some of his shots, he made a shot right at the shot clock, and it was just an awkward looking shot. It went in, but it was just awkward, and you could tell his shoulder was bothering him. He wasn't even bringing up the ball a lot of the time. Booker was hot, and he was bringing up the ball because just Chris Paul was just dribbling with the other hand, and for the most part, he wasn't using his injured shoulder. So, couple nights off, if that looks better, and he's healthy and says he's ready to go, and they're saying, oh, it's over, and if you're looking at the reports, I like that as the pivot, because Booker is going to get a lot of attention, and Chris Paul is going to be able to do a lot more damage with more freedom out there. But again, if the shoulder's not there, then I am hesitant to play either of those guys, and I'd rather gravitate towards Ayton. Outside that, I'm not huge on them. I don't really want to go on Bridges. His big job is going to be guarding LeBron, but he is going to get a lot of minutes, like I said, with KCP. I don't mind Crowder. When I see him Crowder, when he plays AD and LeBron, just is that guy, and I don't want to put him in my lineup just because.
I totally understand that. And, another thing I thought of, LeBron isn't even supposed to be playing in this game. Shouldn't he have been suspended, Santino? Come on now.
No, he was
out partying
well
with
within his
Drake and
rules.
stuff. Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, what they said was you had to be vaccinated or you had to quarantine and be tested before you went. So that's like going to the store. I know that's not what they're doing, but that's like going out to the store, but you already have all your stuff. I don't know. I don't really know the whole story. I just know he's not suspended, and that's all I cared about.
Right.
So I might be wrong on this, but I'm going to spin it.
Yeah, it sounds right. So that's what LeBron said anyway. So
all right, good. Smart man. Ready to jump onto this last game?
Let's get to it.
Another good one. We have the Dallas Mavericks at the Los Angeles Clippers. Mavericks pulled off the road win in the last one. They look good, but we have a 216.5 game total, which is the second highest of the three. Both of these are right in the middle. And then the Clippers are 6.5 point home favorites. 6 of those points on the spread are for that Maxi Kleba stare down. But Maxi Kleba is questionable for this game, and JJ Redick is out. Nobody on the Clippers is on the injury report. We'll start with Dallas, and we'll keep it running. I'll throw it over to you, man. And can you play Luka again, being the highest guy after what he did? Are you looking at anybody else after this big upset? Or are you thinking that the Clippers stop talking so much and don't talk about it, be about it?
Yeah, they definitely need to show up and be about it. And I think they will. Luka, a lot of people are going to have him in their lineup because he had 71.5 DraftKings points last game. But for the season, pretty much he's been around a 50 DraftKings point type of player. So I don't think he will hit that production again, even though they're going to need it. But I think I've heard mentions of Kawhi saying, "Okay, I'm going to guard him now." I heard Stephen A. Smith say, "Yeah, it's about time." So.
You did hear the little chirping of Lucas saying Pat Bev was way too small for him, and I was dying because I hate Patrick Beverly. All he does, he's the guy who talks about it and doesn't always want to be about it. But my bad.
He got a little taste of his own medicine, so that was pretty nice. So. I don't think in any way Kawhi is going to let Luka have a repeat performance. Obviously, no one is going to shut down Luka, but I see him more in the 50s than the 70s. So that's a little high of a price for 10-6, but you never can go too wrong with Luka. You obviously have Kristaps Porzingis at 7,800. He's the second most talented offensive player on the team. Totally had a no-show last game. Only 22 DraftKings points. He better step it up. Even though they won, that's just not enough from a guy you're paying a max contract to. So hopefully he can, normally he can get you around a double-double easily. So he needs to step it up in points and rebounds, and I think he can. It's not too much opposition guarding him that should slow him down. I also look at Tim Hardaway at 5,400. He's totally taken the position of Josh Richardson, and he's been putting up that production, playing very well. Once again, another guy around the Marcus Smart price range. So it's whether you want Marcus Smart, Mikal Bridges, Tim Hardaway, they're all around the same type of player for tonight. And the only other guy I'm looking at is Dorian Finney-Smith. He had him quite the game last game, 18-5, taking some of Kristaps Porzingis' points. So I don't know how that's going to work. Normally, Dorian Finney-Smith is not that productive. So if Porzingis has a better game, I think Finney-Smith's production will go down. So, I mean, that's going to have a seesaw effect, but he's someone you can look at 4,700. But, that's kind of a shot in the dark. How you feel on the Mavericks?
Yeah, and Luka's averaging in 4 games against this Clippers team. He's averaging nearly 66 DraftKings points. He's averaging 30.5 points, 8 almost 9 rebounds, and 11 assists. So he's been balling against them all year. But that Kawhi news that he says he's going to guard him from the outset, that throws a little wrinkle in there. I don't expect him to have another 70-point game if Kawhi's realistically going to be on him, but they can always do switches and get Pat Bev on him for the most part. Does slow down the game slightly, so we'll see what happens there. But I still can take Luka. Out of the guys over 10K, you have LeBron, Harden, Luka. Obviously, all 3 of them can be triple-double, but Luka is probably the safest of those 3 in this particular game. But the Kawhi news does give him slight pause with that. Outside of that, I'm kind of with you. I think you can look at Hardaway Jr. and Finney-Smith aren't overly expensive to where you're nervous that they won't repeat that, but even slightly down games, they'll hit value there. Now, a guy I'm looking at is Maxi Kleber. We're talking about the stare down on the dunk. Guy still played 36 minutes, and he put up 23 fantasy points, had 9 rebounds, only had 6 points, but another guy, he's only 3,400. Another guy, if he's going to play 30-something minutes in a matchup, in any matchup, that's what you want. Minutes equals money, and a guy like that you can throw into your lineup. He has forward center eligibility, and at 3,400 you could throw that and hope that he gets another 30 minutes because then value is just easily had there. And I like his quote that he doesn't care if he gets posterized. He's not letting you get easy buckets, and that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Don't let anybody score. If it happens, it's part of the game that people get posterized. I mean, you're playing against some of the best athletes in the world who want to do that, but as long as you're trying not to make it easy on him, whatever. And he got up and he finished the game, and I like him there. And Josh Richardson is another guy I'm looking at, but only playing 17 in that first one, and they won. That scares me off quite a bit there. So I would only take him in shots and GPPs, but I won't feel super comfortable about it.
I agree. The only thing I'm concerned about with Kleber was he hurt before the game or during the game? Did he have some right Achilles soreness? Did you hear about that?
He's had it for a little while. He had it before the game too, but I remember he was dealing with that towards the end of the season as well.
So they're just listening to be cautious. So that's a big difference because if he tweaked something in that game, I would stay away from him. But if he's just managing it, that's a good call to look out for him for tonight's game also.
I mean, that's his excuse for getting postered.
I know, right?
But let's flip on over to this last side. And you know what? I like you leading off here. We have the Clippers. They lost the first game at home. Now they're going to game 2 against the superstar and Luka. Need a game. They can't lose 2 games on their home court. But how are you looking at when you're looking at the Clippers?
Yeah, I know you've been talking about Kawhi, one of your favorite plays of the night at 8,300, and I agree. But I also would have to look at Paul George at 8,000. Playoff P. I mean, this is your time. This is your time.
Pandemic P. Those are so funny. Way off P. Pandemic P. I was crying when those. Well,
Imagine if they lose this series. I mean, Kawhi's got to leave, and then George is just ruined forever. So I mean, this game is super important for Paul George, in my opinion, and I think he's going to show up. His last game he had 23, 6, and 5, but I mean, that's you want your third player getting those type of stats. You're Paul George. You need to be getting 30. So I think he's going to have to do that. Have to put his team on his back. Because Kawhi is going to do his thing, but Paul George can, I think, uplift the whole team if he plays the right way. So I think he's a great player at 8,000. It could be me just wanting it for him more than he wants it for himself. But come on, Paul George. And I can look at Ibaka. That's a super great price at 4,600. He's back pretty healthy. He had 22 DraftKings points in only 13 minutes. And they're going to need him and use him again, I'm sure. It's only up for him, in my opinion. He doesn't need a lot of minutes to be productive. You can look at Rondo at 4,500. He had 27 DraftKings points in the last game. His leadership and, all-around play better than, Pat Beverly, honestly, right now, especially in the playoffs. There's a lot of guys on the Clippers you can name. Nicholas Batum at 3,800, Pat Bev at 3,500. It's just a matter of who can you fit in your lineup. Who do you love on the Clippers other than Kawhi?
And I'm with you for the most part. I like Ibaka. I really liked him last game. I'm just hoping that we get news that his minutes limit is at least in the high 20s here, because he's being a really good per minute guy anyway. But we can't bank on it. If he's playing 13 minutes to under 20 minutes still, it's hard to just put him in there. So I'm hoping we can get news that he's at least 26 plus, because then that's very good value there. Rondo also rock solid value. He should be playing 24 plus minutes. They got him for a reason. They traded Lou Williams for a reason. They need this guy in the playoffs. Nick Batum, you mentioned, he's under 4K now, and he played 32 minutes in the last one. Mm-hmm. He brought back value. That's rock solid. If he's going to continue to play 30 minutes in a series like this, because the Mavericks a lot of times do throw DFS at their power forward position and Porzingis at center, so they can go smaller and have Batum out there for both forward spots as well. So he could still see 30 minutes, and I like him there. A guy I'm looking at possibly if he gets into the rotation in this one is Terrence Mann, because he was playing pretty well at the end of the season, and then he just didn't play in this one. Maybe they try and change things up. Don't think so, but I would like confirmation on that. If he's going to get back into the rotation, don't mind taking a stab 3,400. But then it's Kawhi Leonard for me. Obviously, it's just 8,300 for Kawhi Leonard is just kind of stupid. So I'm locking him in there. Even if he's going to expend a lot of energy guarding Luka, he's still one of, if not the best two-way player in the game. So like that there. Don't hate Paul George. I just prefer Kawhi. And I do want Paul George, like you mentioned, I do want him to get his game in and get going. But him and Marcus Morris, there was no need to steer down with Kawhi on that. And I'm glad they lost that first game because of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
they still haven't learned,
if you're gonna do that, you better be winning by 25 at least, and just talking shit then, not just doing it and then getting beat.
Yeah, I mean, it was on Maxi Kleber. It wasn't like it was on LeBron or something.
That's like when you're watching a football game and you're down 3 touchdowns. When they get a first down and they get up pumping and then make the first down signal. Like, what are you doing? You're down, unless you're like a third string backup and this is your first time to shine. No need to brag. Well, it's a game, but
the Clippers better win this game, or it's gonna be something.
Yeah, they better win this game because they have a lot of experience too. They have a lot of playoff experience and championship experience. Kawhi, Ibaka, Rondo, all these guys have championships. And they have a lot of other guys who've been in the playoffs, and most of the same team from last year. So they have experience. They can come back if they lose 2-0 on their home court. But knowing how they melted down last year and all that stuff that went on, they're going to be crushed in the media, obviously, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game to look forward to.
Yep, and it's the last. Well, I'm not going to be watching all of it because we got the Lakers at only a half hour before, which I hate that in the regular season especially, but it is what it is. I'll be flipping back and forth when I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Before we head on out of here, let's do our player tiers, and I'll throw it over to you. Who's your favorite guy over 8K?
Over 8K, I'm gonna have to go with, my gut is LeBron James at 10,100. I just see him, for the history of LeBron James in almost 20 years.
LeBron
He's gonna
James
put his team on his back when needed the most. So I think he's a great play. How about you?
Love it. And I'm gonna say Kawhi, but I don't want to at the same. I think he's too gimme, so I'm just gonna say I'm gonna stick with the Lakers and say Anthony Davis. I really want Anthony Davis in this one. I think he's gonna drop 35 actual points and have his big. I think him and LeBron are gonna be carrying this and score 70 to 80 points as a tandem. I just think they're gonna go off.
They need it.
Yeah, they need it. But who's your favorite guy in the mid-range? And there's quite a few, but there's not a ton. Only 3 games, and a lot of the guys are either high or low priced here. But we'll say 8 to 5 in that range, or just under 8 to 5. And if you want to squeeze in Paul George, you can do that.
Well, we know I like Paul George, but I'll go ahead and give a shout out to my guy DeAndre Ayton at 6,100, just because he had an up and down season, and the first game of the season against the Lakers. The series against the Lakers, he balled out. So I think that's just such a great price. That'll help you build a great lineup for him at 6,100. He's one of my favorite plays. How about you?
I like it, and I'm gonna go lower. I like Rob Williams, slightly under 5K. I think. I wasn't sure how many minutes he was going to play in that first one, but I still liked him. Now he dropped $200, only played 23 minutes, but put up 43 fantasy points. Is 9 blocks going to happen again, or 10 total stocks? No, but that upside, and he should be playing more minutes. The game they were playing better with him in the lineup, and especially throughout the season. And I think no better time than the present, especially when you're down 0-1 to the superior favorites, to play your young guy.
Yep, I totally agree.
And how about your favorite value play of the night?
I'm sure we're going to have the same guy, so I'm going to let you go first.
No, you got it. If we have the same guy, I'll pick someone new. I know how you and Mike always like to do that. You're all weird about it. Like, no, we can't have the same favorite.
No, because see, I'll pick a guy you're like, oh, you stole my guy. See, no, that's on you.
That's fine.
Anyway.
That's fine.
No, Nicholas.
Oh
Claxton,
my God! You still not.
See, we mentioned him earlier at 3,300. Like I said, he had the same production as Blake Griffin, who started over him.
Oh, you did say Nick Claxton. That's funny.
See, in half the time. So I think he's one of the best plays at 3,300.
And I'm going to go with another power forward center. I'm going to go with Kleba. You know what? Give me some Kleba action here at 3,400.
You don't believe that.
He played 36 minutes in the last one, only 3,400. If he's going to play over 30 minutes, he's going to bring back value here. I like him under the 4K mark.
I agree, and also would throw in Montrezl Harrell if the Lakers, try to switch it up and do something different against Ayton. If Drummond and Gasol are not working, they can throw Harrell in there. So,
yeah, I think Gasol is going to see more minutes, but and he's going to be one of my. Once I hear that news, he's going to vault into over Kleba there. But as of right now, I don't know.
Right, yeah. I wish he would have played some last game, so that just scares me. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's we have one game and then we have a 10 and a 10:30, so a lot of time to get that news in before we have to lock in everything.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night of basketball, so I'm looking forward to it. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. My Twitter is @WilliamIsBill. And Santino, tell them yours.
@Santino Cucone. We're very plain here, but yeah, Will covered it. Thank you, Will. And is there anything else you want to say before we head on out of here?
No, I think we covered it. It was a great show. Good luck to everyone.
All right, you heard it here. Good luck, and we will catch you again tomorrow. I believe it's Mike and Keith for our Wednesday edition. Thank you, and good night.
Peace.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.